own business? Are you working hard in your career but don't feel you have the skills to reach the next level? Do you need something which works around your busy schedule? We're here to tell you that you can have it all. Find out more about the Roadmap Alternative MBA at www.roadmapmba.com, including free worldwide shipping and our 30-day full money-back guarantee. We care about equal access to education. We care about building a better world. Our mission is making business education accessible. Join us.
Hello and welcome. It is Friday the 7th of January 2022. My name is Steve Pugh and good morning. If we don't know each other, I'm a management consultant. I'm based out of the northeast of England here in the UK. And basically I have a real world business course called the Roadmap MBA, and what we do is that we help teach and coach and build people in their business and career to really help them make the best kind of success they can. And what we try and do is really teach the real world practical skills to help you grow your business or career, because largely they're the same. And actually what we do is that we break it down into super easy to use and understand kind of concepts. You have this textbook, which is now 250-ish kind of pages. We do live streams, we do Q&As, we do classroom sessions, we do podcasts. And basically our mission is all about making business education accessible. That we do that in terms of the content that we teach. And the way that we kind of do that is most traditional kind of MBA programs are aimed admittedly at larger companies, things like mergers and acquisitions and the stock market and bonds and lots of really kind of clever stuff. But my belief was that there was a real gap for smaller businesses, SMEs, where actually the challenges that you face are different. People that work in smaller businesses often have to wear multiple hats. So for instance, in a former life, I was head of strategy for a PLC energy firm, but the company was big enough to have a specialist in one particular area. But actually in smaller companies, often you have someone that, might be an engineer, but then they get asked to start to manage people. At some point, they might be asked to start to sell to customers or build a strategy and that kind of thing. And basically, it's very difficult to kind of learn that kind of stuff. So what we do with the roadmap is give you the complete kind of end-to-end guidance, the roadmap to grow your business or career, specifically aimed at kind of smaller businesses. And one of the things that I like to do every week is go through and kind of do a bit of a live Q&A. So I think we've already seen some comments come in. Good morning, Simon. Good morning, Jamie. And what we do is that every Friday, this pops up and I pick a few different topics to kind of talk about through the week. But then likewise, if you ever want to talk about it or ask something, please, feel free to drop into the chat. It does pop up here, so this is genuinely kind of live. And one of the big things that we like to do is that when you have a business course like this, there are so many people out there that kind of talk the talk, and they'll talk to you about how you should grow your business and scale and stuff. But most of them don't actually do it themselves. They kind of just talk about someone else's theory. So what I do and what I try and do every week is that you'll actually see my progress, everything from when I streamed in my spare bedroom at home to this kind of setup now. But then actually what we do is that when we walk through the classroom and the sessions and stuff, when we talk about diversification and why that's important, I'm actually going to give you some real examples of what I'm doing, so that it's kind of the proof in the pudding, if that makes sense. So good morning, Simon. Good morning, Jamie. I love it when people kind of get involved, and we're trying to build a bit of a community here. That one of my big aims for this year is actually just to kind of get the word out and tell more people about what they're doing and just kind of get feedback. And thank you to everyone who has given me Trustpilot reviews in the last few days. It really does kind of mean a lot, and it's really kind of useful for what I'm trying to do. So today's topics, what I tend to do, just for someone that might never have seen this before, I do a bit of an intro just to do with stuff that I've done this week and stuff coming up, just because that's, something that you can maybe get involved with or whatever. Then I pick a few different topics of stuff that might be interesting. These all get clipped up, they all go onto YouTube. So if there's ever any topics that you might be interested in, if you go onto YouTube, search for Steve Pugh Roadmap MBA, chances are I might have already spoke about it. But if not, you can actually email into questions@roadmapmba.com and I'll answer it next week. Or, join any one of the kind of classroom sessions as well. Okay, so just in terms of stuff that I've I guess it's the first one of 2022, so lots to kind of talk about. I did a video at the end of last year, which was all about everything that I wanted to do last year and what my aims and goals were for this year. So I'm not really going to go into that. But I have had some developments since, which I'll kind of talk you through as well. On the 21st of January, I'm actually going to be a guest on someone else's podcast kind of webinar series. So it's the guys over at Fabric, and basically I'm going to be talking about personal and professional development. It's on the 21st of January. It's all free. It's online, so you can join it from wherever. I'm basically with Lisa and the team talking through lots of different things. We'll talk about the roadmap, but we'll talk about anything that people kind of want as part of that kind of Q&A session as well. And one of the things that's really kind of flattering as well, some of the other speakers, we've got Amelia Sordell, we've got Stephen Kenwright from Rise at 7. I'm a big fan of Rise at 7 guys. I love their YouTube stuff, and we talk a lot on that. And then people like Alice as well, Alice Rowan Hall, who has really built a really good brand on TikTok as well. And what it's flattering for me is almost just to be considered in the same kind of conversation as some of these people, because again, we all start from kind of somewhere. And that's something, if you want to check it out, I'll put a link kind of below. The first one I'm going to talk about this week as well is actually the competition winners. So before Christmas, I ran a competition, and it was to give away 100 Roadmap MBA packs. So anyone in the world, again, our mission is to make all of this, accessible. Anywhere in the world, if you either emailed in, which quite a few people did, liked the company pages, followed our stuff, basically it's a way to obviously build, profile and kind of followers and that kind of thing, but actually get feedback on the kind of content. I've now reached out to a lot of the people, not everyone. I'm finding it a little bit harder to kind of track people on Facebook. Ironically, they've made it quite hard to now get in touch with people that follow you, but regardless. And actually, yeah, so I sent out a lot of packs yesterday, and as of yesterday, hello Teresa, if you're watching this. So actually we're now in 27 countries. So South Africa was added to the list yesterday, which again is quite cool, because in the intro to this, you might have seen I have the city kind of video, I guess, which is just a bit of an intro, which I kind of blatantly ripped off Bloomberg. But it was just, it's great to see people kind of around the world being interested in what we're trying to do. Likewise, there's a guy in Canada, and there's people all across the world now that it's just trying to get the word out, send out free packs, get feedback, and that's kind of one of the big missions for what I'm trying to do this year. I do love it when people get in touch, and one of the big things that we talk about every week is that often when you're trying to achieve your personal or professional kind of goals, it's not something that you can do in one big go. It takes hundreds of little improvements. So one of the things I always encourage is both to say hello wherever you are in the world. Please say, I'm Sally from Mumbai, or whichever. I love to kind of, I love the interaction. But then actually it's to celebrate the little wins, the stuff that you've done this week, which on its own might not seem massive, but actually it's just part of the process of building the bigger dream. And I'm going to talk about that as well today in terms of one of my topics. Last but not least, in terms of some of my kind of content, you might have actually seen on YouTube, I've done my first 360 video. It's not running today, but actually it's a full 360 tour of the studio. It's half an hour long, but I show you into all my stuff. But one of the things that you'll see is the whole camera setup. But I have my notes kind of gaffer taped onto this frame that holds the camera up. But I was just scanning to see what my notes are and what stuff that I want to kind of talk about today. But if you actually want to check out what this setup looks like behind the camera, if that makes sense, this is my office. I'm based just near Newcastle here in the UK, and it might be of interest, and it's quite cool. If you've got VR goggles, you can look around, or on your phone you can swipe, but it's something else that I'm kind of trying to just to learn the kind of metaversey type stuff as well. And then last but not least, I always try and add as much value as I can to people that might kind of watch this. And at the end, this is here in the UK, at the end of January, it's when you do your self-assessment tax return. And I know this from experience because I've been doing this for a while now. My first tax return was 10, 15 years ago. If you've never done it before, if you've set up in business in the past kind of tax year or whichever, it's not an instant thing. You need time to kind of apply, create an account, get the logins. So do it as early as you can, just as a thing to kind of pre-warned. But then likewise, following on from COVID, there might be extra tax deductions which you might not be aware of, which you can kind of reduce down. And, for instance, it's to do with the percentage of stuff, to do with working from home. And actually you can work out, I won't give you tax advice, and that's not what this is, but the amount of space that you use at home to do businessy stuff and the number of days you were at home, you can actually apportion that to your basically business tax bill, and there's lots of stuff that you can kind of do, which I'd recommend. But the point was just act early, don't leave it too late, because actually you might get yourself into trouble. And just as someone, I never got into trouble, but it was quite stressful. If you can just do it early, that's cool. I've just seen another, hi Jamie, I'm just reading your comments. Got a new client this week, 2-week sales cycle using LinkedIn marketing system, needs improvement. Oh, brilliant. I know from when we spoke before Christmas, Jamie, during one of our classroom sessions, it's all of the little wins that kind of work. And actually based on that, I'm going to jump onto my second point today, which is actually how to achieve your goals for 2020, how I do it, how I would recommend that you do it, and actually just things to kind of keep in mind as well. So a lot of people probably over Christmas, but almost might have started to set their goals and objectives and stuff that they want to achieve for 2022. This could be to actually just make the jump to start the sideline with Fiona, who's one of the people, Fiona, who comes to the Tuesday night 8 p.m. kind of sessions. One of the things that we looked at last year was actually how could she potentially explore her sideline and her passion to do with artwork as an actual business. And actually the progress we've made in kind of 3 months is huge. And actually now that's really starting to take off, we're almost going to go through the course again, actually building the business around this. But the point is, your goal could be anything that you actually want to achieve this year. It could be, starting a business for the first time. It could be trying to go for a promotion. It could even just to hit a certain revenue figure at work. Whatever, kind of is important to you. What it's important to actually kind of break down the goal. So on the course, the way that we do this, and again, it's split up into like proper sections. So we walk you through the entire thing. Where are we at? There we go. We have about 20 pages at the start of the course, which actually go into different goals, things that you want to achieve, how to do it, how to build a career and stuff around your passions. But actually what you need to do is actually just figure out what the goal is that you want to achieve, the bigger goal. One of mine, which I'm going to talk to you about today, is actually to get into retail. I think it's a really good sphere and space for business education, sold not just through the traditional channels direct to B2B, but actually via really good products. So one of my goals is to actually get into retail. But actually, when you then look to, what are the steps to achieve that kind of bigger goal? Well, the first one would be, well, actually, you need a product to sell. So then actually, what do I need? Because most business education stuff is in classroom kind of stuff that's not scalable. So hence why arguably this is hopefully a world-class kind of streaming setup to be able to solve that. And then even I'm really proud of this textbook. It's probably one of the best things I've ever done, and the content and everything that goes into this is brilliant. But I also knew that this, being honest, isn't retail quality to go into a high-end store like a Harrods, Selfridges, Phoenix, Macy's, wherever. So actually one of the things that I developed late last year is this. So this is, you might have seen this before on some of the socials, basically it's a hardcover version of the roadmap. And actually they all come individually sealed like a coffee table book, very high end, very high kind of quality. And what I'm looking to do is actually, hopefully, break into the retail market that in the same way a bookstore might sell a traditional book for £20 and probably buy them in for £5, sell them for 15, but then they got VAT and whatever. But the point is, the margins are kind of there and they're okay. With a business course, obviously the retail value is actually say £500. So actually, if I can make it attractive enough in terms of margin, the hope is that high-end retailers, if the product is good enough and it's of interest to your audience, the hope is that they might stock it, even if it's on a sale and return basis. But the point is, in terms of this, I had the goal of wanting to break into retail, and I mean globally. I don't just mean kind of, local in the northeast of England, but I needed to develop the product. So there's lots of steps that went into that. But then now that I've got this, one of my next big challenges is actually to then look at, well, I need to get feedback. I need to then go to, retailers and actually say, look, how do you buy new products? How do you consider who to bring into your stores? That kind of thing. So actually what I've then done is take the big goal, break it down into a smaller goal, which in this case, it's the steps to achieve that. And then again, you keep breaking it down. So almost in the course, what we do is that we have 2 to 3 year goals, your goal for the next year or next 12 months, and then actually 1 month, and then actually 1 day. With the idea being that actually you can take any big goal, whatever it is that you want to achieve. It could be Jamie's coaching business, it could be whatever you want. It's really important to have the bigger goal. But then actually what we do, and we do it on the course, is break it down into something called lead actions, where basically it's the things that you can do today, which will all help build towards your big goal to actually help you do that. So one of the things I also like to do is give you real examples of how I do this, because again, it's just part of the kind of credibility of the course. So what you will have seen is that, yes, I had these made, well, version 1 was February last year. In November-ish, I had version 2 done with the whole new brand. I actually received these 28th of December, which was I got 20 samples of the hardcover version. It's a much higher end version of what I've kind of been doing. But then actually just yesterday, for my business goals for the year, I've broken them all down into things that I'm looking to achieve, but crucially the lead actions for what I actually want to do. And then what I've done, it's all branded, is actually create a photo frame. It's an A4 frame, nothing too fancy, and this actually sits on my desk. And then what this is just a constant reminder of the things that I want to achieve, the little lead actions which will help me achieve my goal. So on some of them, because so much about this year is actually raising profile and telling people, offering free courses to people, asking for Trustpilot reviews, asking to speak at a conference, asking to be a guest on someone's podcast, inviting people to be guests on my podcast. And then lots of things like that, which kind of break down all of the steps that I'm looking to do for stuff I'm looking to achieve this year. And that literally sits on my desk. But almost then for you, if you're looking to achieve your goal this year, and it could even be to dance at the Royal Ballet. For one, you have to be a very good dancer, but actually it could be, who do you have to approach? Who do you have to speak to? Where are they based? How do you get there? How do you get the meeting? And really start with the big goal, break it down into different sections. So you have, the goal for 2 to 3 years, you would love to be a world famous speaker. But actually, how do you do that? Well, actually, people need to know who you are, and you need to prove that you can speak on stages and podcasts. So you need to be a guest on there. But how do you do that? You have to approach people. And really just breaking it down into kind of regular goals. And what I wanted to do just in today's session was show you stuff that I'm physically doing. And then actually, hopefully in a few weeks' time or a few months' time, I might have some feedback to you based on feedback from retailers. And if by the end of this year, because obviously these all get clipped up and saved onto YouTube, I've managed to have my first few sales from retail stores around the world of the roadmap, that'd be amazing. And it's baby steps, but it's just something really kind of interesting to do. I would love to know if how do you approach things? How do you approach your own targets? Is there anything that I maybe haven't spoke about or mentioned today, which is of interest to kind of you? And then likewise, what are your goals for the year? What are the things that you're looking to do? And actually, why do you feel that is, important? And is there any way that we can kind of help? Okay. There we go. I'm just going to have a quick sip of coffee. One of the things which again is part of my kind of challenge for this year is actually I'm starting to advertise. So paid advertising is a new thing for me and Freelancer Magazine. This isn't paid product placement, but actually as of the end of this month, they do a quarterly magazine aimed at freelancers around the world. Really, really good. I'd recommend that you check it out. But basically I've paid to do a double page spread in all of their 2022 editions, and it's part of me just getting the word out and testing to see what works and what doesn't work. And actually I love that their branding matches mine, so that's mint as well. Okay, so I've talked about competition winners. If you've seen any of the stuff or I've reached out to offer you a free course, I promise you it's not a scam. It's about just raising awareness and getting feedback and that kind of thing, and I genuinely believe it's really kind of useful. And then likewise, it's how you're more than welcome to join any of the classroom sessions. They're completely kind of free. They're drop-in sessions. I do them 4 times a week. And the idea is that it's a way that when we have lots of users, we will walk through the course regularly every week as you would in a school or a college. But actually, because we do it over Zoom, you can ask me questions. It's a 2-way feedback thing that actually is quite, you can't get that on Udemy or a lot of other kind of, platform things to actually personalize the content to you. But because as a management consultant, I live and breathe this stuff every day, actually, I'm really good at this. So actually, when you take the business concept of diversifying your business, which again is my next one I'm going to go on to, hopefully I can try and make it viable to you, to Simon or Jamie or any of the guys that have kind of commented today, just to actually make the concepts easier to you so that you can implement them, because it's all about actually making real change and real kind of success in your own business as well. Okay, so the next one I'm going to jump onto, I'm going to go for green and blue, is product diversification and why it's important. So if you're like me, admittedly, it's a guilty pleasure, but I'm a big fan of McDonald's. I always have been. It's a childhood thing, and don't hate me for it. But earlier this week, I actually think it was Wednesday here in the UK, they launched their McPlant. So it was their, I'm not say fake meat burger, but it's not a veggie burger. I believe it's one of the kind of Beyond Meat lab grown type meat substitutes. But anyway, but they call it the McPlant. And basically, I believe it's a way that McDonald's wants to diversify to a wider audience to really help, attract people who might be vegans or that kind of thing, just to give a new offering. Being honest, the one thing that I don't quite understand is that if you are vegan and you're against the idea, and I get it, of eating meat and that kind of thing, why eat a burger? Why not just eat a fake meat burger? Why not just eat a traditional veggie burger? I've never quite kind of put that two and two together, but it is what it is. Anyway, but if you're looking to diversify your business to attract a new market or open yourself up to a new market, there are ways to do this, but actually what we want to do is do it as easy as possible with reduced risk as possible, and actually just try and make the process work. And there's some really good stuff in the course that we talk about, which actually I'm going to kind of walk you through today. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw it out. So this is called an Ansoff growth matrix. There's lots of different names for it, but that's essentially where it kind of came from. And what you essentially have with any business, and this is true for any business, you have the products and stuff that you sell and the markets that you kind of sell into. So if you take, I'll use McDonald's because that's a prime example. So you have, where are we at? Markets, products. So everyone knows, or most people know, that McDonald's sell fast food, burgers, fries, ice creams, but it's in the food kind of sphere. That's what they're good at. And actually, it's a separate part of the business, but they do a lot of kind of retail and property ownership as well, but that's completely separate. I'm just looking at the main kind of core business. When McDonald's want to grow, it originally started in America, but then it grew overseas. So what they did is that they got a very good product, which was fast food, and they got very good in it and consumers liked it. And then what they did was take that exact same product that they knew worked and they knew people liked and took it into new markets. So what's really interesting when we draw this out is that you basically have existing products and stuff that you do. So if you're McDonald's, you've opened your very first restaurant that sells fast food in a city in North America. You have your existing product, which is basically the fast food, and you're in your existing city or town where you first launch. So this is true for anyone. So you are here. And that is still true for any business. So basically, if you are, I'm trying to think of a massive business, like a Procter and Gamble, that within it has hundreds of businesses and thousands of products all over the world. Wherever you are today, you essentially have your existing products and your existing markets. The big thing in the technique that we talk about in the course is how to diversify and grow with the minimum amount of risk, and actually just to give you the best possible chance of success, because that's what we're really trying to do. If you're McDonald's and you have core markets that you sell into, so again, they're in every country in the world, but I'll take the UK. What they've essentially done with the McPlant is that the mistake is often, I'm going to change pens, is to try and do too much at once. So if you want to diversify with the minimum amount of risk, you only want to do one jump, not two. So one jump would be take your existing products in your existing markets And do one jump would be to launch a new product into your existing markets. So that's what McDonald's have done with the McPlant, where basically they already had all of the restaurants in place. They understood how to sell into consumers in the UK, etc. And they've taken a product line which they kind of know very well, burgers, and they've diversified into, I guess, fake burgers, McPlant, kind of the new product. Likewise, you could also have a new product or service, burgers. And when they originally, back in the day, opened their second restaurant, what they essentially did was take their existing products and move into a new market. That could be, to make it kind of easy to understand, something that works in America, very good, very successful, bringing that same product, which you know people like and trust, to the UK. So that's one jump. So basically you'd go from your existing product or service into your new market, etc. What the mistake often is when people try and do too much too soon. So for instance, I know Apple are trying to launch an electric car. I think it's been rumored for years. So Apple are known for PCs and phones largely. I know they've grown into kind of subscription services, and they sell it around the world. In theory, yes, trying to launch a new product is fine, but there's a lot to learn. Maybe electric cars is a bad example, but there's a lot of risk involved to jump into new markets at the same time. Prime example for what I'm looking to do, if McDonald's, for instance, if McDonald's tried to launch an electric car, that's a mistake, because then how do they learn all of the new product, services, risks to the different industry, different regulations around the world? There's so much to go wrong. They're trying to do two things, two jumps would be a mistake, because the risk just kind of grows exponentially. In terms of McDonald's, or back to me, I already had the business course. I knew what I was doing. I knew what the product and service was good. But in theory, to expand into retail, yes, I needed to develop a new product, but actually the core offer was still the same. So that's how a way that I can kind of do it with minimum kind of risk. And it was just a balance of when people are looking to grow and stuff in 2022, McDonald's being the example, only do, if you can, one jump at a time. So either take your new product and sell it into your existing customers, or take your existing product, which could be a Big Mac, and sell it into a new market, which could be trying to break the Antarctica market for fast food because they understand it. But the mistake for the business would be to try and launch, for McDonald's to try and launch an electric car in Antarctica, because there's too many unknowns, because you're learning the new geography, the new cultures, the new background that might not like the product. But then likewise, you also got all of the risks and learning curve from trying to develop a brand new product at the same time. And that's when most people go wrong. So basically what you always want to do, it's one jump, not two. So either if you're going to develop a new product, sell it into your existing customers, find your feet, get it established before you try and do something new, or take your existing products and then try and take that into new markets and more people and bigger spread, but don't try and do the same at the same time. So for instance, if I tried to launch, I don't know, I don't use electric car again, but a coffee shop in Brazil, I'm going to struggle because I know nothing about the Brazilian market and I know nothing about coffee, to be honest. But actually, if I tried to launch the roadmap in Brazil, I have the stream, I have the setup, I have the content, I know what it's doing, and it's only one jump, it's one unknown to kind of make it a success. And it was just when a lot of people have aims and goals for the year and stuff that they want to achieve, which links back to my last point. Trying not to overstretch yourself is just really important to kind of basically increase the chance of your success. So I'm sorry if that was a bit kind of long-winded. It's one of those things that it's quite difficult to talk about, but almost the more I can kind of simplify it down, hopefully that kind of helps. So it's 9:30. What I always like to do is just kind of, keep these kind of short and snappy. My day job and my inbox starts to kind of fill up as, we go through the week. But I'd love to know kind of what you guys are up to. If any of you want to join any of the classroom sessions, you'll see me start to advertise those more and stuff over kind of time. You're more than welcome to join. And likewise for the kind of competition winners, their packs will hopefully arrive pretty soon. Teresa in South Africa, yours might take a little bit longer just because of postage, but it has gone, I promise, and that's kind of thing as well. So I've spoke about stuff that we've done this week. I've spoken about the competition winners, diversification that we've kind of covered. There's the Fabric kind of webinar series, which is on the 21st of January, which hopefully you can check out, might be interesting. Some really, really good speakers with that as well. Achieving aims and goals for the year, what we're trying to do. And I also mentioned again, if that you have a tax return kind of coming up this year, just act early. Don't leave it too late, because it can be a nightmare to kind of do. And I've been there, I get it. One of the things I would recommend is that this frame, for when you actually kind of start to do your lead actions, and it's something we'll start to do more on the course, when you kind of break down the stuff that you want to do that you see as being kind of critical for your business or success. The same would be that if you're really working on your fitness and stuff this year, just go in the gym. You know, regardless of how many reps and sets you do, just what a lead action is actually just to leave the house is actually not really good. But just keep it prominent, pride of place. So for this literally sits on my desk. And then the plan is, over the course of the year, is just to do hopefully one of them a day. And one of my lead actions is actually just to keep up these streams all year kind of long. And the hope is that even if someone only sees one in September, it's still kind of worth kind of while. So my name's Steve Pugh. I really appreciate everyone's time and stuff today. If you ever have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to kind of get in touch. This goes out onto LinkedIn Live, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and quite a few others as well. And then last but not least as well, I'm going to start asking more people about the podcast guests and stuff for the year as well. If you've got any questions or you want a free course, please feel free to reach out. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for your time, and hopefully I'll speak to you soon. All right, cheers guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.